what we've been to so far is Dave Daniels. The grapes look great. Not quite ready, but he got a number of 23. I just got 21, but he did get some rain last night.
Hi and welcome everyone. I'm Melanie Krauss, the winemaker for Cinder Winery. Today I want to show you an introduction to crush, the time of year when we harvest the grapes and do all the fermentations. All of our fruit comes from vineyards that are local to Boise, usually in the areas south end of Nampa and Caldwell. And each of our varieties ripens in its own time. So the white wines mostly come in early in the season, around September, and most of the red wines come in a little bit later, starting at the end of September and going through October. So towards the end of August, we'll start to watch the grapes really closely, checking in on them every few days, deciding do they taste good, and also watching the development of the sugar that indicates the ripeness of the grape.
This is Sauvignon Blanc, and I just squeezed it. And so when we get this picked, when the juice comes out of the press, it'll look pretty brown like this, and then it ends up being a really clear, straw-colored, light-colored wine.
So we'll make the decision about when to pick based on a combination of the way the grapes taste and what they're doing in terms of their sugar content. White grapes we bring in, hand-picked in their whole cluster, put them into the press with the stem and everything, and we press the juice off of the skins and take it into a tank or a barrel for fermentation. Fermentation happens because yeast eat the sugar and turn it into alcohol, carbon dioxide, and heat. And it's a beautiful process visually, all sorts of exciting things to see and to smell in the winery during this time. White wines ferment over a slower period of time than red wines at cooler temperatures, and that helps us capture the small molecules that are going to create the delicate aromas that we find in white wines.
This is Muscat Blanc. Just started the press cycle, so just waiting for the juice to pour out and sucking it up.
So after we get the juice pressed and clean it up a little bit, we put the yeast into the wine in a process called inoculation. And here's the cellar guys, Jamie and Joplin, to explain that a little more.
Inoculation is adding yeast to juice. And take it, Joplin. Then what happens? So you've got your flux capacitor. So the inoculation process is first we make up like yeast nutrition, and then we'll add yeast to the yeast nutrition, and then we'll add juice to the now activated yeast, and then we'll add that to the tank that we're pressing, or the tank that we just, to whenever juice is ready. He's much more eloquent than I am when explaining. I kind of like the less is more tactic.
All the foaming that you can see in these fermentations is because the yeast are creating carbon dioxide that's coming up through the wine and creating all this foam.
There's all the yeast bubbles. And it tastes like a strange, fruity red. This still has lots of sugar left in it too, but it's starting to kick. Really got a lot of carbon dioxide in it, so it tastes like a really, really fizzy fruit punch. Oh, well, we're foot stomping a little bit of Tempranillo, so it's going to turn into rosé. We're going to do a quick foot stomp on it, let the juice soak on the skins for maybe an hour or something, then we'll put it into the press our pink grape juice, turn it into rosé.
Here goes David.
Yeah.
Whoa, chill out! Don't hurt yourself.
We need bigger tubs in case they fall.
Yeah, careful on the back. Just want to like double knee drop. Maybe we need cages.
See, I'm not even afraid to drink it straight off their feet. That's a sign of a real winemaker.
When we make a rosé, it's almost exactly like making a white wine. Just one difference, or two I should say. One is rosés are made from red grapes, and they're made like they're a white wine, except that we let the juice soak in contact with the skins for just a few hours to give it that nice rose color.
It tastes really yummy. It's about halfway done with its fermentation, so it's got maybe like 6 or 7% alcohol and still a lot of sugar in there, and it's all sparkling and basically completely delicious.
Fire back up, man. We're ready.
So red wines are fermented on their skins and seeds, and that makes a huge difference in the way the wine turns out. The skins and seeds contain most of the tannin and texture, and the skins contain all the color that comes out in a red wine. So by fermenting the skins and seeds in with the juice, you get all of that thickness that you feel in a red wine. The tannin is that sensation that feels like coffee or black tea. It's a roughness in your mouth. It's all coming out of those other elements. The skins and seeds form what we call a cap, and they float up to the top of the wine. And we need to get them back in contact with the juice. So in order to do that, we do this process called a punch down, and we do it 3 or 4 times a day. It's quite strenuous and gets a little boring too, so sometimes the conversations we overhear in the cellar are really amusing.
Yeah, there's like 2 situations in which I like marshmallows. Lucky Charms, aka situation 1, and then s'mores.
After about a week on the skins, the red wines get pressed. The winemakers go around and taste every day the fermentations and decide when is it optimal to press the wine off of the skins. When do we have enough extraction of color and flavor, but not too much? Sometimes we can get the wines a little too astringent if we leave them on the skins too long. And so when we know that the wine is ready, or we think it's ready, then we'll load it into the press and press all that juice off. Now the fermentation won't be complete. There'll be more to do, so the yeast will continue to ferment the wine once it's in the barrel. So the wine will go down to its barrels where it'll finish fermenting and start its long, mellow aging process. The fermentation that's happening inside the barrel is still really powerful at this point, lots of carbon dioxide. So if we happen to put the bung in too tight, the pressure builds up inside the barrel, and then it'll finally get enough to push the bung out of the barrel, and then it's just like shaking up a Coke can and then opening it. There's quite an explosion. And at the beginning and the end of every harvest day, there's a whole lot of cleanup to do. It's a messy process, and so we have to get all the stickiness off of everything.
Right now, we are finishing
finishing out pressing Vineyard. We got in 6.83 tons. We only pressed about 2/3 of that tonight. I thought we were gonna have to press a whole nother, the rest of it, I should say.
And what time is it right now?
What time is it? It is like 7:30, I think.
7:45.
7:45. So if we'd have to dump this press and reload, and so we probably wouldn't be done cleaning until like 11
Wow.
p.m. So they're gonna do it early in the morning.
At what time in the morning?
I think they're gonna load the press at about 7 a.m. Another shift.
Dedicated.
Yeah.
Dedicated
Fruit comes
cellar.
in and we have to process it.
The 2016 vintage has really been exciting. We had lots of warmth in the summer to ripen the grapes. We also had this long, cool fall that allowed us to harvest the grapes exactly when we thought that they were at optimal ripeness. So we're expecting that this is going to be a delicious vintage. Everybody, thanks for coming to celebrate Thanksgiving with us this year. And don't forget to stop by where we're sampling freshly made Chardonnay. Cheers.